Shemai, hello, and good afternoon, and welcome to Lab by TfWL's Demo Day Cohort 2. I am Imran Anwar, CEO of Alt Labs Agency and the proud innovation partner of the TfW Lab programme. I am delighted you have joined the live stream today from wherever you may be. The Lab is Wales' leading rail innovation programme, which helps startups and scale-ups alike to test their products and services through a 12-week accelerator program. Today, you will hear from the amazingly talented 11 startups who have joined our Cohort 2 in August this year. You will also hear from key stakeholders from Keolis, Keolis Group, and Transport for Wales Rail Service. We will also be announcing which startups have been successful and will continue to work on with Keolis, so stay tuned for that, which will be later on this afternoon. If you'd like to know more about the startups and about the TfW Lab program, please go to tfwlab.wales or follow the team on Twitter on the handle @WalesLab. Over the course of the 12 weeks, the startups have received support and guidance on how to develop a minimal viable product, with help with marketing and customer research. They've also had access to data which is not open to anyone outside the organisation, access to key decision makers, the trains, the stations, and, however, more importantly, they've had the opportunity and resource to test and validate their proposition in the real world, giving them the real feedback to help deliver their product and service. This cohort has been really interesting, exciting, and challenging. With COVID-19, the lockdown, social distancing, we've had to find new ways of innovating in our own process to help deliver for other startups so they can keep innovating as well. So we decided to adapt to the new low-touch economy earlier in this year and move from a physical space into the digital space, into the cloud, which has helped us not just deliver this demo day virtually, we were in fact able to run the entire accelerator program over the 12 weeks remotely. The low-touch economy is the new state of our society and the economy permanently altered by COVID-19. It is categorized by the low-touch interactions, health and safety measures, new human behavior, and permanent industry shifts. Perhaps the new norm? The biggest roadblock for companies right now are broken relationship with customers, instant drop in demand, overall uncertainty in which makes it difficult to plan ahead, constraints in supply and production, and cash flow and financial constraints. So a forced reset of our society is the perfect opportunity to explore the new areas for growth, shifts in behaviour, new products accelerated, and adoption of tech. Perhaps it's the moment innovators and creators have been waiting for. Through this pandemic, we have also seen interesting shift in technology and human behaviour. We've kept a very close eye on the new habits to understand where potential white spaces may emerge. According to MasterCard, as of April 30th this year, contactless payments were up by 40%, which shows a clear transition from cash to chip and pin, and now to the contactless, and perhaps into the digital contactless era. Lots of people have adopted healthier lifestyles. Almost 45% of us have started cooking at home, using healthy ingredients, and use of yoga and meditation apps has increased. People have been investing in e-bikes for recreational use. Van Moof, an e-bike brand, noticed a global increase in sales of 48%, while in Britain, the purchases rose by 184% between February and April. Intelligent Industrials normally offer industry IoT sensors and dashboards to track machines and industry states. Today they offer interactive signage and crowd control solutions for pharmaceutics and retailers. A drop in tourism and fashion forced companies to innovate to stay relevant. One such company did that in a good way, with shifting with new customer trends amidst this pandemic, has been the swimwear brand Grandilia. They are now focusing their marketing efforts towards business lines selling healthier food boxes via e-commerce platforms. According to Board of Innovation, there are 6 different white space trigger points in the low-touch economy. Industry shifts with redesigned supply chains providing new market for entries. New regulations, new legal hurdles that are removed can actually open up new market spaces. New customer behavior. When people act differently, they will want new needs, which in return creates product or service. Society changes, shifts in demographics, the new norms and values opens up new opportunity, while new technology enables people to solve specific problems. Access to new resource, network access, new assets and new partnerships develop a commercial strategy. So why is this relevant today in today's demo day? Well, simply put, the 11 startups on the TfWL lab program have been working on solutions to some of the challenges Transport4Wheel rail services faces, not just during COVID, but how in the day-to-day operational aspects from customer experience, engineering, data, and marketing, which in turn helps the business look for new pivotable solutions for key challenges they have. Before we jump in and see any of today's pitches, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Colin Lear, who is the Customer Experience Director and the Deputy CEO for Transport4Wheel Rail Service.
Shemai and hi, I'm Colin Lee, the Customer Experience Director and Deputy CEO at Transport4Wheel's Rail. And welcome to this fantastic Lab by TfW Demo Day. Obviously it's virtual again this year because of COVID, but that won't dampen some of the fantastic innovation that you're about to see. We're welcoming 11 fantastic startups to this accelerator, and I just wanted to say this is not a marketing-led accelerator. This is real problems that we've found within our business that we've asked these companies to come and help us solve. And I'm delighted therefore that people who were in our first cohort, so Clever City and Passageway and Bright Yellow, who did so well last time, have already made substantial progress in the business case, in some cases listed building consent, in order to make their innovations, which will change customers' lives and will make us more efficient, real. So this is about real solutions, and we really hope that we'll find some more of that today with these 11 startups. TfW wants to play its part as well in building up the Welsh tech ecosystem. So I'm delighted that 4 of the 11 are actually based in Wales. Now this year, of course, the world's been turned on its head. More than 1.2 million people have sadly lost their lives due to COVID, and nearly 50,000 people in the UK. The world has changed, and some of the solutions that we will see today are answering completely new situations that none of us expected we would find ourselves in. And we've been asked to reduce the number of interactions we have with other people. They're the best opportunities for the virus to spread. So we've seen huge reductions in the number of people travelling with us. In fact, some days back in the spring, we were giving out more in refunds than we took in passenger revenue. And we've had to completely change the way we operate. And I'm really proud of the way our colleagues have kept Wales running and the borders. We gave free travel to NHS workers in the first lockdown. We've completely changed our cleanliness regimes. The timetables have had to change a number of times, and on all whilst the virus has been spreading out in the community. I'm really hopeful that 2021 will bring about a fundamental change to the way we deal with the virus. And hopefully we will see mass vaccinations, starting of course with our frontline workers and the most vulnerable, which will allow us to start to go about our lives in the way we used to. But I think for the moment, the concepts of social distancing, mass testing, wearing face coverings when you're in enclosed spaces and shops, and obviously on and around our network, are going to be more and more important. And some of the innovations you see today adapt to that. And we want to encourage people to travel about in sustainable ways, certainly active travel, but also getting onto trains and buses around Wales and the borders. It's important we don't all go back to using our cars and the damage that would do to our climate. We're going to have to encourage people back to the railway in ways we never thought we would have to. And we're going to have to bring technology and innovation to the fore in how we do that. I'm delighted that Welsh Government has completely understood how much rail and transport generally is important to our building back the economy, to social cohesion, to connecting people with opportunity. And we've been able to keep the railway running for those crucial key workers during the lockdowns, but throughout this period. You can compare that to some other industries where that's not been the case. But that is support we should not take for granted. And we as an industry will need to find ways to build back better. What does that mean? That means really showing value for money, really improving the services for our customers, finding ways to be more efficient and more cost effective, and using innovations to do new things that we've never had to do before, but we will need to do in this new normal. If you have an idea, then please get in touch. You can find out more about how the lab works on our website, TfWL.Wales. You'll have the chance to pitch it to us and then to work with fantastic people over 12 weeks throughout the business to help you understand whether that idea could fly in rail. And you can see already from the first cohort, and I'm sure you'll see from this cohort, some fantastic ideas which ordinarily we probably would never have connected to rail, but we have, and we'll now move forward and bring into the business for the benefit of customers and to improve our processes and efficiency. So please do get in touch. I really hope you enjoyed today's presentations. There's some fantastic stuff in there, and I'm sure you'll understand how difficult it was for us to choose a winner.
Thank you, Colin, and it's great to see the increase in the Welsh startup taking place as part of the cohort and TfW Lab supporting the Welsh ecosystem. If you have any questions for any of the startups or the labs team, then please put them into the chat box on the YouTube channel. The startups have also set up Zoom rooms for you to engage with and network directly with at the end of the event. Details will be in the chat box later on today. Right, it's time for the pitches, and I am really pleased to welcome Mo from Roost Connect for his first pitch.
Hi everyone, my name is Mo and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Roost Connect. We're a Welsh-based startup and our mission is to help cities to move more efficiently and more ecologically. We do this by providing rich insights about how a city's transport and its passengers are flowing, allowing for improvements to be developed, executed and evaluated. So far, with the support of the Welsh Government and the Department for Transport, we've worked mainly within the road sector, producing solutions that detect and classify vehicles, produce turning counts at junctions, and help to monitor and improve the ability for drivers to get from A to B. The lab was an opportunity for us to bring our technology to the rail sector. We started by looking at some of the challenges Transport for Wales faces by the numbers. In 2019 to 2020, 15% of TfW TOC-on-Self delays were caused by station delays. And during this year, where we have seen reduced passenger numbers, the station delay minutes increased by 18% to 61,200. These delay minutes are causing customer frustration and financial impact in the form of compensation payouts. One of the fantastic things about the lab was having the opportunity to speak to many departments and stakeholders within TfW and Keolis Amy. This allowed us to not just use the numbers, but dive into anecdotes of pain points for customers. One example was a discussion around Shrewsbury railway station. Here, passengers changing to or from platform 3 have to leave the station and then re-enter. The time to do this is currently estimated, but it's believed that this estimate may be low. Without data to confirm the actual time taken by passengers to make this change, it's difficult to justify any modification. If the estimate is indeed low and customers are commonly rushing to make their connection, this could be the cause of delays, customer safety issues, and general customer dissatisfaction. We recognized that this and many other use cases could be supported by our product, and to do so, we needed to focus on 5 core capabilities. Firstly, we offer accurate and anonymous passenger detection and counting from existing CCTV infrastructure or our own camera solution where needed. We can then map those detections to station locations to be viewed on station maps or aggregated as heat maps. For trains, we also offer seat occupancy data and statistics around how long passengers take to find a seat and which seats are seeing the most use. In the shorter term, COVID is a key concern affecting passengers' confidence to use rail transport. To tackle this, our passenger detections are enriched with whether a passenger is wearing a mask and how often passengers move within 2 meters of each other. Finally, we can help identify locations where passengers have needed additional assistance, be that wheelchair users, those with heavy luggage, or those with bikes. With this, we can help TfW provide the same great service for all its passengers. So let's take a look at how this works. We take camera footage and using AI detect passengers within the frame. These detections are turned into anonymous locations that can be collected and used for analysis. The original image data is never stored by our system. From our analysis, we observed 82% mask compliance in this footage. We can also do this for trains, as seen here. So what does this look like for those using the data? Well, we offer the data through a number of methods, but for TfW, heavy users of Microsoft's Power BI, we've built custom visuals and tools that help pair our insights with their existing data, giving them the versatility to answer a broad range of questions. We also offer our data through an API, allowing it to be integrated with other software and solutions. And as it happens, we've had promising conversations with fellow lab Cohort 2 member Emu Analytics about pairing our data with their existing geospatial data and technology to help tackle some of the challenges they've been approaching with TfW. As we moved through the accelerator, we produced a number of example Power BI dashboards. Previously, we saw one for stations, and here we have one for trains, showcasing the ability to see the state of a train's carriages before and after a particular stop, as well as seeing which doors were used during that stop. Of course, these capabilities are also possible for buses, coaches, and trams. After showcasing our dashboard to a number of departments within TfW, we conducted a survey. 67% of those that needed accurate passenger counting data didn't have access to it. And 75% of those who said they needed passenger behavior data didn't have access to it. All of those that responded said their tasks would be made easier with access to our data. When asked about the implications of not having access to our data, a pattern emerged. When planning improvements, not enough information is available to make fully informed decisions. This leads to risks that can cause customer dissatisfaction and financial inefficiency. And finally, once the improvements are actioned, there isn't enough data to fully evaluate the impacts of the change and measure its success. Our solution assists all the way through this chain. So in closing, we've had a great time collaborating with TfW, and we thank everyone who's helped us for the support and the advice through the program. For this last slide, we don't expect you to read it all at once, but here's a list of the capabilities that we can offer currently and some that we are developing in response to requests from stakeholders. Feel free to take a screenshot or pause the video. We look forward to discussing our solution with you in the chat and as well as in the breakout session shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mo, for a great presentation and for going first this afternoon. You have a lot of different capabilities to choose from, and it seems like there is a lot of data that will be generated from those. How does a customer adopt and manage your technology, and what does that look like across the next 12 months with Transport for Wales Rail Service?
Thanks, Imran. Yeah. So we always begin working closely with our customers to decide which capabilities are best for them. Once that's decided, we offer a fully managed solution in which we provide any hardware needed to process data on site. We handle the maintenance and security of the processing and data storage infrastructure. And finally, we help with our customers to get up and running with the access to the data and offer continued support thereafter. For TfW, we've worked with a few departments to decide one or two key stations and capabilities to focus on for the first phase of adoption. For station improvements, we're looking to offer insights for planning asset locations. For the performance team, our data will provide them with insights to find the root causes of delays at unmanned stations. And for special events, once events are back in action, our data captures crowd movement to and from a particular region and will better inform the crowd management strategy. So yeah, thanks once again, Imran, for that. And I'm looking forward to any more questions in the chat, as well as the breakout sessions after. Thank you.
Thanks again, Mo. I will personally look forward in seeing how your data platform develops over time. I would now like to welcome our second pitch from Marcus at Window Seater.
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. I'd like to pose a question. How do we get leisure travellers back on trains? Due to COVID, we currently have historically low passenger numbers, and there is a greater need than ever to get people back on trains when the world opens up again. We believe that Window Seater can help answer this question, and do so in a cost-effective way, by measurably improving passenger satisfaction and enjoyment, and the benefits of travelling by train. So, what is Window Seater? Simply put, it connects rail travellers to the world outside of their window. We provide high-quality geolocated stories which link all the fascinating features along your route. Those could be stories of heritage, geography, history, or people. The key is that we always build a narrative that is carefully researched, localised, and brings the route to life. Currently, it's all delivered to your phone, either in our Window Seater app or through WhatsApp. When your train passes a point of interest, it will automatically play what we call a blip, which is usually 1 to 4 minutes of audio, depending on the story. We've already successfully tested the app with tourists on some of the most popular rail routes in Thailand. And for our new MVP as part of this program, we selected the Cardiff to Merthyr line. Because of the stories that Taff Valley holds, and because it's of the route's manageable length and for the time we had. We have 8 blips along this 1-hour route. So the idea isn't to be constantly blasting people with information. We're providing stories where they're fun, interesting, or powerful. I visited South Wales a month ago to talk to people, dig for content, and work with our partners at the University of South Wales. And the staff and interns there, many of them local to Cardiff and the Valleys, have been fantastic in helping us develop and refine our stories. So, I'd like to now show you a video of just using the app and an audio snippet from the intro. It really is as simple as downloading it, then selecting your route, and off you go.
The Merthyr line is no humble commuter line. In this Window Seater guide, we'll ride with you to explain how the River Taff shaped the valley which shaped the world. The route tells a truly Welsh story, one of survival and courage in the face of exploitation and devastation. It tells the story of sound, of ironworks and collieries, of the world's first steam rail journey and railway service, of the Welsh national anthem and Tom Jones himself, and of an ever-changing river and the environment it supports.
So we've also done the intro in Welsh for anyone who would like to have a listen. Please just get in touch with me directly after this. As well as the app, we wanted to explore the option of WhatsApp for this MVP, as we know that Transport for Wales is interested in the possibilities that comms through text messaging provides. It allowed us to test a delivery model which offers a different experience and potentially more flexibility. The audio app uses geolocation, so you have to be in motion for it to work. But with the WhatsApp delivery, we've provided a timed option, so you receive the blips on your phone even if you're not moving. This ended up being a real silver lining to the lockdown cloud because it allowed us to provide for people stuck at home, giving them the closest thing to a Window Seater experience you can have without being on the train and giving us our all-important feedback data. You can see some of the WhatsApp images on the slide here. So when people sign up for the WhatsApp delivery, after they listen to all the blips, we gave them a questionnaire. We've been getting the word out for people to test it through our own professional networks, social media channels, and I was interviewed about Windows Seater on Pontypridd, the local radio. And the feedback has been great, clearly indicating higher levels of enjoyment and satisfaction when using Windows Seater, as well as an increased preference to travel by train. As you can see on the table here, we use Transport for Wales's own wavelength questions, showing improved customer experience metrics when using Windows Seater. And on this table, you can see a direct comparison of our own feedback data with earlier wavelength data. We specifically looked at the preference for rail travel over non-rail travel. And as you can see again, the results for Windows Seater create a significantly more positive picture. So what are the next steps? We've now completed our trial, which is the test build for Transport for Wales, in which we've demonstrated that we could improve customer experience and increase the likelihood of getting people back on trains. We would then like to move to a market trial. We propose building Windows Seater guides for the 3 most popular leisure routes in Wales, trial them for 6 months, and see if they are indeed a cost-effective way to improve customer experience and attract new leisure travellers to Transport for Wales services. This is, of course, dependent on the status of COVID and the lockdown. But if we start soon, we could have Windows Seater guides ready for the end of Q1 2021, so when the holidays begin. Then, if the results prove positive by mid-year, we could have the whole of the Transport for Wales network covered by the end of next year. We do believe that Windows Seater can help build on Transport for Wales' existing partnerships and help forge new ones. And with that in mind, I'd like to finish with a lovely quote from Karen Williams, a community rail partnership officer in Colmy Valley who loved the Windows Seater experience. Above all, we believe that Windows Seater offers something unique in rail travel, and its implementation could lead to a positive news story at a critical point for rail travel in Wales, as well as a real upturn in customer enjoyment and the number of people considering taking the train. Thank you for your time, and please do try it out yourselves. All you need to do is go to the homepage and the instructions take you from there.
Thank you for your pitch, Marcus. How adaptable is your content for regular passengers, and how can Windows Seater collaborate with partners such as Visit Wales or the Welsh Heritage?
Well, we had leisure travellers in mind when building the content because that seems the most obviously fertile ground for it, but it's totally adaptable. It can be used on commuter routes where it would probably need a refresh because we have as a start point an idea of timelessness for the content. You know, it would typically have a shelf life of 2 or 3 years the way we see it now, but we can always adapt for the needs of the user and client, which is the passenger, or partners at Transport for Wales. So if Welsh Heritage had an event that they wanted to push, then absolutely we could include that in our content for the given line.
Thank you, Marcus. And I'm sure there could be interesting content with the various partners Transport for Wales rail service has. COVID-19 has been challenging, and getting used to the 2-metre rule hasn't been easy and may still be a part of our society for the foreseeable future. One startup who may have a solution on reporting how well we are doing on this is Shaped AI. I would like to welcome Adam Kendall to give a presentation from Shapes.
Thank you for the introduction, Imran. Hi, I'm Adam from Shapes AI, and we're here to make Welsh transport COVID safe. We're looking to maximise passenger numbers whilst minimising the public health risk. The problems we're trying to solve is A, the non-compliance with protocols. 22% of passengers weren't wearing a face covering on TfW rail. We're looking to restore the lost customer confidence. 2 in 3 people are nervous about using public transport. And we're looking to revitalise the currently very low revenues. There's 80% fewer people using railways, and this obviously has a big impact on the bottom line for TfW. So our MVP is AI CCTV monitoring of Cardiff and Swansea stations. We do this to generate a social distancing score. Here are 2 30-second clips of our analysis. As you can see, the red lines between people highlights a violation in social distancing. The red bounding box is just highlighting each individual in the scene. The score in the top right is the social distancing score, and 1 is the optimal, and 0 is the worst possible score. This data then feeds into our platform, where managers can view the scores of the various stations and compare their metrics. So as you can see from our analysis, Swansea perform much better than Cardiff. So the manager can then look into Cardiff and see and try and ascertain as to why that might be the case. Is it that the issues are occurring at a particular time of the day? Is it at evening? Is it in the morning commute? Or is it certain parts of the stations that are causing the trouble? Perhaps it's the rear entrance, maybe it's the ticket gate. This graph on the right tracks that social distancing score at the specific part of the station, at the specific time periods. And if it's below 0.3 over any 3-minute period, then a warning would be sent out to staff via WhatsApp or Teams, or to customers over the tannoy to remind them to keep their distance. So when fully deployed, our solution will have 3 key outputs. 1 is the live alert system, so immediate responses can be made to risks. 2 is the data insights platform, so you can see when and where issues occur. And finally, it can be used to display to customers. So you can display your score and customers can understand and be reassured that the very best is being done to make them safe. So this has a big benefit for TfW. 1 is the safer environment for passengers and staff by increasing the compliance with distancing guidance. 2 is the enhanced brand reputation by increasing the transparency with COVID safety levels and adopting a tech-first solution like this. And finally, it will result in higher passenger numbers and ultimately revenue. And this is by increasing the passenger confidence in travelling once again. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, Adam. And that's a really interesting MVP on using current infrastructure for reporting. How does Shapes AI stay compliant with GDPR and protects people's identity?
Yeah, thank you for your question, Imran. So we protect people's privacy and are compliant with GDPR by, first off, not including any sort of facial recognition algorithms in our product. So we're not trying to identify anyone personally. It's purely that there is a person in the scene and the actions that they're taking. What's more is that this video data does not need to be stored on any server, in fact, and certainly not ours. If the client or TfW want the video to be stored, that will all be on premise and on their servers, and will never leave that facility. Back over to you, Emran.
Great to see GDPR and passenger privacy being protected. On the subject of data, I would now like to introduce our next startup, You.Smart.Thing, and Chris Thompson to deliver their pitch.
Thanks, Imran. Appreciate it. So my name's Chris from You.Smart.Thing. Our proposition with the Labs project focused on guiding people from door to door. You.Smart.Thing is an experienced supplier. We've built up a body of IP through a range of different research and development projects, working predominantly with venue and event operators, transport operators, and local authorities. And I'm pleased to say that Transport for Wales is an existing customer. We've recently launched a reservations service running in parallel with ticket retail, specifically to manage social distancing by providing rationed reservations on specific train services. Within the Labs project, we focused on the door-to-door challenge, which is really what emerged from our value proposition ideation sessions with the Labs team. So we had multiple stakeholders from across Transport for Wales involved in those sessions. And this is what we came out with. The travel assistant helps Transport for Wales customers who want to make a door-to-door journey by combining their journey preferences, bespoke routing, and multimodal transport data to get a rail-optimized journey plan with real-time updates. Unlike Google, the travel assistant gives Transport for Wales control of routes offered and access to the data generated. And so from there, we started to create our minimum viable product, which is shown here embedded within the Transport for Wales website. You can also see the mobile optimized view on the right-hand side. So this is currently showing it embedded under the Planning Your Journey tab within the TfW website. Clearly, it could be anywhere. And it's showing a journey from the Mumbles to Principality Stadium over on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see several different journey options there. All of these are entirely configurable by mode and the language that we use, and we can even include hybrid journeys. So we've got using bus and rail at the top here. We've got a drive and park option here, and we've got a cycling option, which we could reduce down to 2 or 3 hours before we display it if we chose to do so. We'll focus on the bus and rail option at the top, and in this case we integrated the Plus Bus offering, which is an existing offering on the Transport for Wales platform. So we can see here we can purchase a bus and rail ticket for £8 for the entire journey. We'll just flip down one layer, or one leg rather, on the left-hand side of the screen. Look at the drive and park option again. The system can create hybrid options, which include driving and train journeys. In this case, it's drive and park. And here we've got a warning about heavy traffic and the fact that we will need a clean air zone permit as well as parking. So really demonstrating the financial incentive, I guess, to use the bus and rail option, but still offering driving for those that need to. We'll flick back to the first option of bus and rail, where we can purchase this offering for £8. And our proposal moving forward with travel systems is to fully integrate the retail offering here. So we'll click buy for £8, and we can see here how we've got the journey summary, and this is pulling through the checkout process from the incumbent retail platform, optimized as well on mobile on the right-hand side of the screen. So we wanted to see how this would fare with customers. Through the Labs project, we were able to engage with a focus group, and we had some fantastic customer feedback. 100% said they would find the door-to-door journey planner extremely or very useful. 75 said they prefer to access the travel assistant on a TfW website or within an app. And 75% said that TfW Rail should offer the ability to buy travel to and from stations as a bundled offering. And this result really is in stark contrast to the current dominant retail channels, as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, third-party systems dominating the current retail channel. So we think we've got a real opportunity to balance that more effectively. In terms of summarising the project then, we found that not providing door-to-door journey planning would mean Transport for Wales missing opportunities to improve customer experience quite significantly, clearly to generate additional revenue, and perhaps most importantly, to deliver on its commitment to operate the network. The Transport for Wales travel system is really easy to deploy, cost-effective, it's ready to go now with the ticket integration coming down the line. It's also used by other passenger transport executives, and it securely captures data. The clear benefits are that it addresses customer demand, delivers on the current committed obligation. It's an extensible and sustainable platform, easily embedded in third-party websites and easily integrated with other modes of transport, including community transport operators, for example. And because of the nature of the platform being easily adopted and embedded, we believe it's a very technically elegant way of providing a personalized solution. Our rollout plan over next year would be to integrate door-to-door journey planning first, followed by the integration of rail tickets within the purchase flow, and then the integration of the one account vision for multimodal ticketing. Thank you very much indeed, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Chris, for your pitch. If you were to deploy Travel Assistant for Transport for Wales rail service as you're proposing, how rapidly could it be extended to include other wider Welsh transport modals?
Thanks, that's a great question. As you've seen from the MVP deployment, multimodal is already integrated and we're already offering the ability for the Plus Bus service, for example. In terms of additional transport operators and additional service providers. The platform is designed so that it's very easy for us to integrate third-party inventory and to bundle it into the checkout process. The journey planner itself and the travel assistant can be used as the default journey planner on all Transport for Wales properties, with the easy integration of additional modes as they come on stream moving forward. And I'm thinking particularly about community transport offerings, which sometimes aren't as sophisticated as some of the larger operators, as well as new mobility, bike sharing and electric mobility offerings within the platform. And so we believe that we're in pole position to integrate those things and that they'll provide a really compelling passenger solution and drive incremental revenues moving forward.
Thanks for that, Chris. It's important that MVPs we see today are capable to expand and to fit a wider potential need for the Transport for Wales rail service. And it sounds like you guys have already considered this, which is great. Next up, we are taking a look at customer sentiment and trying to find out exactly what Transport for Wales rail customers and passengers mean when they are posting on social media. Our next startup, Wordnerds, has been tackling this problem over the Cohort 2, and I would now like to introduce Helen to deliver their pitch.
Thanks very much, Imran. Hi, I'm Helen from Wordnerds. And Wordnerds are an AI-powered text analytics platform, and we help customer experience, marketing and insights teams to understand the true voice of their customer, identify issues, build an evidence base for change. And we do that by automating the understanding of language at scale, irrespective of vocabulary, sarcasm, or even the liberal use of emojis. Transport for Wales have an enormous amount of noise coming in through their customer channels, with 30 million passenger journeys per year, 1,000 services per day, but also the differing needs of each passenger, from business to leisure to commuters. And through the various communication channels, from social, complaints, survey data, NPS, CSS, NRPS surveys from Transport Focus, as well as everything in the news and blogs and forum sphere. And analysing all of this information to make improvements on customer experiences is an insights team of 2 and a social team of 4. And that noise isn't going away anytime soon. In fact, by December 2023, there'll be an extra 285 services planned every weekday. But 80% of the actionable data exists in the form of unstructured text, which is largely ignored due to the scale of the noise. We also identified a few more problems or challenges that the insights team at Transport for Wales are facing. So currently data sits in silos, meaning they can't cross-reference issues from one data set to another. Data processing is a hugely time-consuming process with lots of manual tagging. The current lead time on responding to complaints is at a best case 2 days, at a worst case 7 days. And language is hugely complex. So Wordnerds are looking to build a single platform with a full picture view of CX, bringing in all of these different customer communications from all their different channels. And let's just look at that idea of language and its complexity, because we know as linguists that every word in the English language has potentially more than one meaning, and context dictates meaning. Outstanding is normally a really positive word, unless of course we're talking about outstanding debt. And no one wants to be sick right now unless you're 15 describing your latest TikTok video. So what makes us different? It's our linguistics first approach. We don't just treat words like numbers. Our platform allows insights teams to understand what people are talking about within any data set, so the unknown unknowns. We also tell you how they feel about the topics that they're describing and why they feel the way that they do. But we also allow you to look for the known things in the data set, the things that you care about. And we don't just do that by matching keywords. We allow users to find people talking about the same problem, irrespective of the vocabulary that they're using. So take the 2 examples below. My train is late. It's 9:30. When is the 911 getting here? We as humans know that both of those instances are issues with delays, and our platform knows that too. So the objectives of our MVP were to create an objective measure of customer experience, understanding what topics customers are talking about on the network and how they feel about them, real-time monitoring of the network, a precise understanding of the changing market trends, particularly in light of the pandemic, and an ability to benchmark against competitors so that we can understand which problems are affecting customers more than others and in what areas. We've set up a single dashboard view, and for the MVP, we've brought in Twitter, CSAT, NPS, NRPS, which is Transport Focuses survey, as well as some SenseMaker surveys looking at various customer commentaries. For the first time, we started to include competitor insights within the performance weekly calls with the senior management team. We've also evidenced passenger concerns around returning to the rail and bus network for the Welsh Government. And in those findings, we found that discussions around masks were far more prevalent on the bus network than the rail network, with 40% of bus passengers worried about the issues around masks and regulations of them. We've also evidenced issues around commuter and business passengers being most heavily affected by COVID. And finally, the outcomes. We're transforming CX, providing activity from reactive to proactive. So we've started real-time alerts for key issues to reduce that 2-day lag time in serious complaints. We've also provided a wealth of data-backed strategic insights which have been shared with the wider business. So examples include the Welsh Government Insights reports, the weekly performance meetings to the senior management team, CSS mapping insights, regular network reporting on a quarterly and a weekly basis, providing evidence for a learning and development programme at Cardiff Central. But most significantly, we've made significant savings in time and resources. Over the course of the 10 weeks of this innovation lab, we've processed over 75,000 comments. The processing time to do that for a human is around 84 hours, and it took the Wordnerds platform less than an hour. Significantly, that frees up time for the insights teams to spend more time on delivering on their aims of improving customer experience in a big way. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen, for your presentation. I am really impressed with how your platform was able to process 75,000 words, which would have taken a human 84 hours to do. Really impressive. Question I do have for you, Helen, is how would Wordnerds use its AI deep learning and natural language processing to deploy on other marketing and customer service channels?
Great question. I think, so we've already had some conversations internally with Mike, Sam and Jem and the team around now that we've got a working MVP and proving value with just Twitter and some of the surveys that were easy to get a hold of. We're now going to look to broaden out our understanding and insights across Facebook and Instagram on the social side. We're also looking at creating an API for WhatsApp, which is a relatively new channel for Transport for Wales, but equally a really valuable one and highly used. But we're also looking to build out an API to tap into all of the customer complaint data that currently sits on the Microsoft Dynamics CRM that they're using, to really try and get a hold of that full picture view and ultimately be able to allow the insights team to look at issues across all of these different channels and how each of the channels varies in terms of opinion and voice and that kind of thing. Hopefully that answers your question, and thank you very much for your time. If you've got any more questions or want me to elaborate on anything, just drop me a message on the chat. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Helen, for that insight. Being able to understand what customers and consumers mean and want quickly will help TfW rail service across many channels, from customer service to marketing and PR. So having a solution that can be rolled out across all of their social media platforms will sure have a big impact on their business. We are now at the halfway point of today's presentation, having seen 5 fantastic pitches from our Cohort 2 startups. In this cohort, we have seen some really innovative solutions to key challenges areas, which is exactly what the Lab and Keolis Amy, Keolis Group and Transport for Wales Rail Service programs set out to do. Up next, joining us live from Paris, we have Maxime Audion to deliver an innovation update on behalf of Keolis Group.
Thank you, Imran, and good afternoon, everybody. Very happy to give this presentation for this demo day of the second cohort of the lab by Transport for Wales, and looking forward to see what's coming out of it. So today I'm gonna present what Keolis has been doing around the world to try to bring back ridership. So several innovations that we've been working on in different subsidiaries. So just a quick word about Keolis. So as you may know, we are a global mobility operator, and what we do is improve lives in communities we partnered with by delivering sustainable, passenger-focused and integrated mobility solutions. So we are in about 15 countries, and we operate more than 10 different transport modes, from trains to metros, automatic metros, tramways, buses, so on and so forth. And last year we transported some 3.5 billion passengers around the world. So in the UK, we've been actually there for more than 20 years. We have several operations. So train networks, also from London, in partnership with Go Ahead Group, with the Go via Thameslink, for example. Some tram networks, the Metrolink tram network in Manchester and Nottingham, and some automatic metro with the DLR in London. So the idea here was to present a little bit the different initiatives that have emerged within the group. And what we see is that COVID-19 has hit us particularly hard, but the way transport networks have recovered from that has been different from one place to another. So it's a really general graph about how things have evolved in the UK, but what we see is that basically we're still about minus 45% in terms of ridership nowadays. So of course there has been some successive lockdowns, but what we observe is that in France it has been a little bit different. So for example, after the summer we've had some ridership that came back to about 85–90% of what we observed before COVID. And so what we have been doing basically in France and the different initiatives that have emerged in France, we wanted to present those as best practices. Of course, they are not the only one responsible for bringing back ridership, but we believe they have contributed to it. And when we think about COVID, you know, what really has become primary criterion for transportation mode choice is the risk of infection. So it has become more important for business trips, for private trips, than time to destination, convenience, price, and those were the primary criterions before. So innovations has really pivoted around this idea of how can we basically address this risk of infection and bring back riders. So we have structured our approach in three main pillars, basically. First one is really to make our users feel safe and address any COVID-related anxiety for our public transport users. The second pillar is really about how to make users feel in control and how to do that basically by empowering them with new services and new decision-making tools. And the third one is how to make it simple and even simpler than it was before for them to ride transit and to really offer a strong alternative to private car travel. And we want to avoid modal shift towards private car travel as much as possible. So how to make people feel safe? Well, one thing we've been doing is to basically better monitor what is happening in our transportation networks to adapt production accordingly. Something that we have done in France and we are currently experimenting is the use of Wi-Fi tracking to really understand uses and mobility habits of people to make sure, for example, production is adapted enough and as much as possible, it's possible to respect physical and social distancing in rolling stock. What we have done as well to make people feel safe is to propose new disinfection methods. So for example, it's something we have tried in Lyon, which is a contactless disinfection method. It's available in metro station. It has been quite positive. And two other things that we have done to make people feel safe. It's not only about technology and showing people that the rolling stock, the stations are being disinfected. It's also something we've been doing and using, kind of like new ways to do it. So screens in the rolling stock, voice announcements, nudging those, so to really catch the ear and the eye of our users. And something that I wanted to mention here to make people feel safe and to make sure physical distancing is being respected is something that has been done in the Netherlands by working with other stakeholders of a territory to adapt demand, basically, and working with, for example, with the different schools to have class start times that are staggered, so we don't have such a peak in the morning and physical distancing can be respected. So not everything is about technology, even though I'm talking about technical solutions mainly here. Now, so on the second pillar, how can we make people feel in control when they're riding transit? In many networks around the world, transport operators, public transport authorities have been proposing to their riders tools to access passenger occupancy information in real time, in a predictive fashion. And it's really something we have been working quite a lot on since the beginning of the pandemic, and using, again, having this innovation mindset, trying different innovative technologies. Here we use Wi-Fi tracking again, but we also use axle loads on buses, which, for example, is not used so much in transport, more into goods transport. How can we adapt this to mobility, and it has advantages. So trialing different passenger counting solutions, working with the UX methodology to make sure the way the information is given to the passenger is the best possible. So this is an experimentation we're doing in the Paris region, which we're working on at the moment. And the third one is, how do you make journeys easier for people, and how do you make it simpler for users compared to private car travel, for example? So this is a map of basically all the evolution of contactless ticketing solutions in France before and after COVID. So before COVID, we had about 10 networks that use those kind of solutions. Now it's more than 50 networks that use either QR codes, text messages, ticketing, payment cards, open payment, near field communication. So there has really been this acceleration on contactless ticketing solution that we've seen. How to make it easier? It's also make people understand, and it's the graph that you see at the bottom of the slide, make people understand that basically mass transit is more efficient, more performant than private car travel. And what we've been doing is, in partnership with our subsidiary called Keolis, to launch studies using what we call Visio Pulse, which will analyze GPS data from smartphones. So we buy GPS data that are anonymized and respect GDPR to basically understand macro movements of people. And what we can see buying data before the pandemic and comparing it to like data that were bought for people that were using cars is that mass transit is more performant and than private car travel. And it also brings reassurance to our users. And the last initiative I wanted to mention is make it easier and make people understand that basically it's easier to use public transport than using private car travel. So we've been developing this nudged communication campaign, giving meaning to public transport. So what does it mean to ride a bus? Well, it means you pass more cars, you save more carbon emissions, or you have time to basically time to read, time to write something, or take a nap. So give some meaning to the fact of riding public transport, which again is not about technology so much, but we pay a lot of attention to using new levers, such as nudges. So here is the three main pillars I wanted to mention to you today. Thank you very much for your attention.
Maxime, thank you for the update, and it's great to see the wider global innovation work that actually Keolis plays and the work that's ongoing and to come as well. Maxime, how do you see the technology currently being used or tested in parts of the Keolis group coming into play within the UK?
Well, thanks a lot for the question, the relevant question, Imran. I think what is being trialed elsewhere could really benefit Wales and Transport for Wales, and I think it's a good territory. For example, I mentioned a couple of things related to how we use smartphone data to basically bring reassurance to users. Well, the UK and Wales has a high smartphone penetration rate, so you have quite some riders that are equipped with smartphones. So we can basically, it's really a benefit. Two things we can do. First, analyze their GPS traces to have a macro understanding of mobility patterns across Wales. It's something that can be done because people have smartphones in the UK and Wales. And the second one is what is being done with Wi-Fi tracking, basically the fact to detect a smartphone. When you detect a smartphone, you detect an individual. To also have data about mobility usage that is a little bit more precise than this macro data I was talking about with GPS. Something else I haven't mentioned, but which is particularly, I think, relevant, especially given the economic context, which will be tense next year, is what is being done at Keolis regarding predictive maintenance. It's a way to basically cut maintenance costs, and given the size of the network in Wales, it's also something that could be done over there.
Thank you for that, Maxime, and I'll look forward to seeing the development in the UK. As part of the Cohort 1 demo day, Julian presented on human behavioural science work that was ongoing. Do you have an update for the viewers and on that work stream for us?
Thanks, Imran, for the question. Well, as I mentioned, not everything is about technology, and indeed, there has been this behavioural science nudge approach that we've started. That has accelerated with COVID. So since this, what has happened, some networks have basically decided to try and to implement some of the measures we proposed in this COVID nudge kit. So Hyderabad in India, and where we are operating the metro, is going to try some nudges. There has been some interest as well of subsidiaries in France, in the UK, and more profoundly, I would say that what has happened is that internally, our staff and our subsidiaries have improved on the subject and got a better understanding on how nudges can be used to bring back ridership and globally to improve mobility experience. So I would say it's an ongoing process. Some things happen in foreign countries, for example, in India, and we hope that other subsidiaries will jump on this train and do things locally.
Maxime, thank you again for joining us from Paris and providing us with a very insightful view of the wider innovation work which is going on behind the scenes at Keolis Group. If you would like to know more about what the work Keolis startups or the TfW Lab is currently doing, then please go to tfwlab.wales or follow the team on the Twitter handle @WalesLab. Or in fact, you can just engage with us on the YouTube chat. Now it's time to move to our second half of the day, and let's go full steam ahead on that. To kickstart our second part of the day, I would like to welcome Wales' very own Steve from Dupoll.
Diolch fawr Imran, shwmai pawb. Dwi'n Steve Dimmick, Cyd Sylfaenydd gyda Dupoll. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Dimmick, co-founder at Dupoll, and today I'm going to talk to you about how we're helping TfW transform their Talk to Us service. But first of all, let's go back to 2015. That's when we founded Dupoll, after creating an MVP in 4.5 days. Our mantra as we launched this polling app was to make every voice heard. Now it's 2020, and whilst our team hasn't changed much, we've added James in the middle, and my hair's got a lot greyer. Today, Dupoll really is making every voice heard. Our real-time multilingual engagement platform was used for the Great Big Lockdown survey recently to gather tens of millions of opinions from over 400,000 people in the UK in just 4.5 days, the same amount of time it took us to build the first MVP. One of the challenges we faced participating in this cohort is that there are so many great people and projects where we could have helped out. However, whilst we genuinely considered trying to create several MVPs, we knew spreading ourselves too thinly would not work. We realized that reducing our options would increase our focus and ensure our success. So we committed to deliver an MVP for taking Talk to Us online. The Greek philosopher Socrates said, "Smart people learn from everything and everyone. Average people from their experiences, and stupid people already have all the answers." Talk to Us is a central service that any member of staff can contact. It allows TfW to learn from everything and everyone, from the challenges staff are facing to what colleagues feel could make TfW a better place. But, and it's a big but, it's an inbox. That's right, Talk to Us is currently an email address, one that TfW staff can send inquiries to and get answers from. So why change? Well, we believe that for something to really improve, first of all, it has to be measured. And that's why there needs to be change, and why we've set about moving Talk to Us from an email solution to online, where it can be effectively measured and then improved. We've confirmed that change is necessary, but whilst change is actually easy, improvement is far more difficult. To be clear, this won't be a like-for-like replacement. By measuring, we'll be able to encourage more inquiries and ensure speedier response times, create template responses to regular inquiries, and ensure there's less chance of mistakes being made. As the saying goes, don't tell people your plans, show them your results. What you're about to see is a fully functional, ready-to-go piece of software. I'm genuinely blown away that our team, led by James, who's manning the YouTube chat today, has built in the time they have. Let's go check it out. So this is Talk to Us. I'm Steve Dimmick. Now I work for TfW Rail, and I'm on my way into work. I'm going to make an inquiry. I get on my phone, I go to tfwrail.wales/talk to us. And my inquiry today, it's not that important, it's a low one. I work within the train operations team. I think my inquiry is for people and engagement, and I want to know how many days leave do I have remaining. I can add an image if I need, so this could be good if you were taking a photo of an issue on a train or a platform, but obviously for this inquiry I don't need to. I'm then able to submit that request, and I pop in my details. And away we go. Straight away I get a response saying, "Diolch o galon, Steve, thanks very much." And what you'll notice here as well is that I'm also given an inference of the amount of time I'm likely to have to wait. This is based on the average of all the completed surveys over the last few weeks. We also have some frequently asked questions here, as well as the ability to add another inquiry. This data all then gets put forward through to the dashboard. And this is where internal comms are going to love what we've created. Here we're able to choose the amount of queries we'd like to consider, the priorities that they are, And as we'll see, this platform will, the table will update, only showing critical, for instance, here. And we can choose from teams, and there's teams that they've been assigned to. As well, we have a quick roundup of the total queries response time and completed queries. So let's jump into one. Here's one that we created earlier. And this is one that was submitted earlier, sent through from Steve at TfWL Wales, assigned to the executive team. How many people are on the board? Now, if I'm in internal comms, I can say, actually, this is more of a question for people in engagement. And over here, we're now able to collaborate on a response. And people could join and edit this copy to their heart's content. We also then allow an authorizer to authorize a finalized report response. All of the updates that happen, so for instance, if I move this into progress, are included in the activity chart at the bottom. And I'm also able to add notes as I go, emailed 8. Okay, finally then, we're able to go across to the report section. So this is something that there's none of currently. This will allow internal communications and all teams to be able to see the total number of queries, the response time it's taken on average, completed queries, where inquiries are coming from and where they're going to, and obviously manage resource around that. You're also able to highlight the most active user. Maybe that's someone you could reward. So there you go. That's what we've built during the MVP. And just as a good iterating organization does, we're working our way towards perfection. There's loads more we're going to do, including adding login screens, integrating email, and potentially in the future, pushing this out to the public. So that's it from us. We hope you've enjoyed it. Now, please talk to us, be it in YouTube chat or on MS Teams.
Thank you very much, Steve. With your platform, does the user have to create their own content, or do you offer like a key 10 solution where you guys can provide the whole thing for them?
Thanks for that question, Imran, and it's a good one. I would say actually a bit of both. We originally built Dupoll to allow people to create their own surveys and polls. However, what we've realized over the past 5 years, we've received over 50,000 questions generated through the site and nearly 25 million answers now. We realize people struggle asking questions, and that's why we spent a heck of a lot of time creating a series of survey templates and also training courses, just helping people on the structure and layout of surveys and the format of the questions that they ask within it. So yeah, I think that a platform that offers the best of both worlds is what Dupoll is today. Thanks for the question and all the best.
Thanks for that, Steve. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you on the program. Moving from customer to staff now, it's important that all organisations look after their staff and their well-being. This is paramount for Transport for World Rail Service, and it's what our next startup has been focused on during Cohort 2. I would like to welcome and take this time to welcome Spatial Cortex.
Thanks for the introduction, Imran. I'm Kailash. I'm from Spatial Cortex Technology. Our vision is reducing workplace injuries through technology-led solutions. According to the Office of Rail and Road, the rail industry has twice as much sickness absence compared to other industries. Musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDs, are a major source for this. MSDs affect workers who carry out manual handling, including lifting, handling, carrying, and manipulating tools and equipment in awkward posture and work repetitions. Workers carrying out maintenance-related activities are more likely to be affected by MSDs given the nature and complexity of the tasks. It's important for Transport for Wales as it has recently taken over CVL infrastructure and track maintenance. MSDs pose significant challenges to the UK rail industry. The UK rail industry lost thousands of working days and more than £50 million every year due to MSDs. Importantly, it affects the long-term health and well-being of the frontline staff. 80% of all prohibition notices issued by ORR in the last 5 years were due to the failure to minimize MSD risks. According to ORR, the rail industry is still not where it needs to be in minimizing these risk hazards. Lack of consistent risk assessment is a main reason for most MSDs in the rail industry. Current risk assessment practices are subjective. They rely on visual inspection and fail to capture all in-field risk scenarios of the rail industry. With MOVA, we believe we have a technological solution for this. MOA is a revolutionary wearable technology that has a hardware and a software elements. The hardware includes a set of body-worn sensors that attaches to the worker's work wear, and the software interprets the sensor data into important parameters that relate to the risk of injury. With MOA, we can offer high-quality quantitative risk assessments and frontline monitoring and reporting. As part of the lab program, we want to validate the risk assessment capability of MOA for the rail industry and also test if MOA can provide detailed insights into the risk scenarios of the rail industry. The sleeper change task was chosen as an ideal test case. The sleeper change is a routine track maintenance activity that has a series of complex manual handling steps. For the MVP test, we had 2 workers wearing our MOA sensors attached to their PPEs, and data was recorded as they carried out the activities. The MOA software helped assess individual manual handling steps of this complex task. We'll talk through 3 examples today. On the left-hand side, we will show the video of the task, and on the right-hand side, we will show 3 important injury risk parameters that was tracked by MOA. These parameters were defined by health and safety executive, and the color band in them relate to the risk of injury as per their guidelines. The first example is the manual handling step that requires the worker to manually lift and drag a old sleeper out. This task requires excessive torso bending, as can be seen from the first chart, and the other parameters also reach moderate to high levels of risk. The combination of force and posture of this step increases the risk of injury during this manual handling activity. The second step is the manual handling step that requires 4 workers to lift and handle a sleeper from one place to another. In this example, the workers had to lift and maneuver the sleeper around an obstruction that was en route, which increased the risk severity of some of the parameters. However, a carefully coordinated and planned execution of this task is likely to be safe. The third example is a manual handling step that requires the workers to replace the ballasts after the sleeper has been changed. The choice of tools meant that the workers had to maintain an awkward posture while this has to be carried out, and as can be seen from the charts, all the important injury risk parameters are in the moderate to high risk region. MOA also allows tracking important biomechanical parameters that relate to the risk of injury. One such parameter is the disc compression force in the back that correlates to the risk of back injury. Excessive compression forces during manual handling can lead to instantaneous and long-term back issues. Tracking the disc compression force, we find that the manual handling of the sleepers and manipulating the sleepers has the disc compression force beyond the safe limits. This means that some workers, especially in the high-risk category, like older workers and workers who have had injuries in the past, are likely to develop back issues. The data also showed that the ballast replacement activity is only marginally safe. There are several options we could do to bring the compression forces into safe limits, like targeted training and alternate tool designs. In the short term, we'll work with our stakeholders in validating and implementing some of these changes. We will then engage with TfWL AKI on their safety initiative targeted at manual handling injuries. We'll then engage with other parts of the businesses like operations and train maintenance. In the future, we would like to bring our innovative solution to the wider rail industry through the Track Safety Alliance. For us to be able to do that, we would like to make some enhancements to our product, and this is where the funding, price, and the commercial contract will be greatly helpful to us. In terms of benefits of MOA, we think we can help transport for rails in 4 different ways. Firstly, with proactive monitoring, we can significantly reduce and prevent injuries. This will translate to significant reduction in lost time rate, significant cost savings, and potential productivity gains. With MOA, transport for rails can safeguard the health and well-being of the current and future workforce. We believe that with MOA, we can enable an evidence-based and scientific approach to health and safety, which will improve compliance and enhance the safety culture. Together, we want to put health and safety on the right track. Thank you very much.
Keolis, thank you very much for a really fascinating pitch. What would your product roadmap and plan be if this was to be rolled out with multiple users who are simultaneously connected?
That's a great question, Imran. The program has given us a great opportunity to test our prototypes on in-field and as the workers carry out the tasks. We tested more than one equipment, and we found that system was actually working, and it can be robustly scaled with further enhancements. We believe that the testing has given us very valuable insights for us to be able to deliver a robust solution that works across many workers in future. Thank you.
Thank you again, Kailash. Your work with the Cohort 2 has laid a strong foundation that can potentially help Transport for Wales rail service look at the long-term well-being of their staff in the long term by paying attention and monitoring the here and now for their staff's performance. Next, I would like to introduce Paul Brooks from Urban CSR for their pitch.
Thank you, Imran. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the InfoWorks Transport for Wales concept. I'm Paul, and I head up the consumer-facing activities for Urban CSR. Hopefully, you will all recognise this statement, as it's the cornerstone of TfW's service strategy, which also helped us validate our concept. To highlight the challenge, 82% of all train stations across the network are unmanned. 29% of all journeys start or end at unmanned stations. 59% of all journeys are for leisure. Up to 40% of over 55s don't own a smartphone, and 12% of Wales still has no 4G cell coverage, which affects rural areas in particular. To summarise, a high percentage of TfW passengers are leisure travellers, over 55, journeying through unmanned stations, and don't have a smartphone. The overarching fact which reinforces this is that the lack of quality, timely, and relevant information is the single largest driver of customer dissatisfaction. This is a transport-focused validated fact. Let me now introduce you to the InfoWorks Hub. This is the actual first prototype of the InfoWorks Hub. Here we show an example of how a small station might be enhanced with the InfoWorks Hub and secondary screens that also replace poster sites. Let's illustrate the hub at Dovey Junction, where we could immediately improve the station by installing a hub and replacing the 3 current poster sites with 3 centrally controlled digital screens. Let's now look at Roberta's experience with the Info Hub. When waiting at Dovey Junction, she checks the current service and live running information. Upon arrival at Wem, she uses the hub again, which is now familiar to her, and finds herself a taxi to get to her friend's house. Let's now demonstrate one of the crucial and unique functions of the hub.
Helo, Nick ydw I. Sut ala I eich helpo chi heddiw? Hello, Nick here. How can I help you today?
Hi, I'm travelling from Reading to Tenby, and I've just changed for the second time at Carmarthen, only to find my train to Tenby has been cancelled. How can I now get there on time?
I'm really sorry to hear that, sir. Let me just investigate this for you. Won't be a second. Okay, sir, I'm afraid there's been some emergency works on the line, and the next 3 trains have all been cancelled. What we are doing, however, is providing rail replacement services with buses, and that'll be arriving in the next 10 minutes.
Ah, okay then. How will I find it?
Just one moment, please, sir. Okay, the replacement bus service looks like it's going to be located just outside the station entrance and to the left. It'll be there very shortly.
Okay, how long will it take to get to Carmarthen now then?
Should take around 1 hour and 20 minutes, sir.
All right, okay.
Is there anything else that I'm able to help you with today?
No, thanks. You've been most helpful.
No problem. Thank you, sir. I do hope you have the most pleasant journey, and goodbye.
The hardware and componentry will include the features described here, with first phase content beginning with train and bus timetables, including live service information, delivering that all-important first and last mile support, mandatory and statutory messaging, emergency announcement messages, a customer help point, and live two-way voice or video calls. From a security perspective, the hub is constructed from toughened anti-rust steel with a high-density powder coating. The toughened screen also sits behind 6mm of Gorilla Glass, and the other anti-vandalism measures include proximity activation of the screen and CCTV cameras, with both visual and audible welcome and warning messages as required. The hub is limited only by the availability of content and appropriate services, but has the ability to evolve with passenger requirements and the changing nature of public transport. We believe that the Info Hub delivers a holistic and fully integrated information and communication system that can be used across the entire public transport network, regardless of who the operator is or mode of transport being used. Thank you.
Thank you for your pitch there, Paul. What are the tangible benefits TfW will service and the passengers will see?
Thanks, Imran. By delivering the first phase of functionality as shown, there are a variety of benefits and potential cost savings. For example, eliminating all paper printing and managing every digitised site centrally, as well as providing the much needed real-time information. It would also replace all the current disconnected and redundant customer call points as a part of the station improvement programme. Combined, these deliver a tangible presence and duty of care, ultimately bringing the customer experience into the 21st century for all passengers, not just those with smartphones.
Thank you for your explanation there, Paul, and for your pitch this afternoon, showing what your module is capable of. Staying on track with customers and with a focused approach, we move over to Nick Biffin of Yoello and their food and beverage ordering solution.
Imran, thank you for the introduction, and everyone else for joining. I would like to welcome you all to Yoello. Did you know that within today's society, 75% of people are now basing their decisions on how safe that they feel? 75%. So that leads me to the underlying question in terms of how does the transport industry adapt its catering services within an ever-changing society? So what is Yoello? Yoello is an intuitive, white label, order and pay solution for the F&B market. As a business, we're operating in every corner of the UK, with expansion plans into Europe, US and the Southern Hemisphere over the next 3 to 5 months. The platform offers 3 key services of which can be utilised within the transport sector, specifically the rail network and its catering services. The platform is complete with a full back-of-house system where everything is controlled in real time. Also within the platform is a multitude of rich data. Therefore, it's easy to make informed decisions in order to adapt your services and offering to meet your customer demand. So who's made this possible? Some key people. We've got Mark, who's our CFO, the ex-COO of UBS Bank. David, who was the ex-MD of Santander and ex-director of Bank of England. And of course, Sina, our CEO. Now, I'm just going to play a demo video for you of our product. Firstly, welcome to the Yoello Order and Pay platform. Throughout this demonstration, I will look to show some of the platform's key features and just how the platform can help transform and adapt the catering services within the transport sector. Firstly, the customer would land on the platform via a landing page, which is really our first feature, called Groups. Groups allow a range of businesses to come together within one single platform. One of the benefits of this, quite simply, it allows one easy access point for the end user, which then opens up a wider variety of options. More importantly for yourselves, it offers a multi-revenue stream opportunity. So as you can see here, we have TfW and Upper Crust. Now let's take an example of a customer that's pre-booked their train ticket and is aware of their travel arrangements, something of which is very common within peak travel periods. Now imagine opening up the option of click and collect for this customer. Very simply, you can select the Upper Crust option, and as you can see, the customer can select collection and then view the collection menu to make and place an order. What I'll show you now is the actual customer journey through an on-service order. So if you select Transport for Wales, you would then see there is the option of dine-in or table service. If view dine-in menu. As you can see, the menu is broken down into major categories such as drink and food, and then sub those is broken down into subcategories, making navigation between products easy for the customer. If we go through the customer journey, so food, select bake and baguette. Now, the Yoello platform has been designed with flexibility in mind, and therefore we are able to offer a customer everything that a traditional waiter is able to do. As we go through this, you'll see the customer is prompted with preference and modifier options, providing customization and upselling opportunities. So if we choose bake and baguette, and as you can see, prompted with sauce, and again, drinks as an upsell feature. Very simple to add or skip. So here, extra bacon or extra sausage, actually, I'm okay, add that to your cart. It's very similar with drinks. We look at hot beverages, for example, and a filter coffee. Select the coffee, would you like any sugar? I'll have brown. Any milk? I'll have full fat. And again, add to cart. It really is as simple and as quick as that. As you'll see here, if we want to pay for these products, we go to checkout, confirm the order, and then customers are prompted with the next stage. Now, selecting your venue area or table number. So as you can see here, it's broken down into carriages. Again, making it easy for the customer. They're in carriage A, what seat number are they at? Easy to select and confirm. Customers also have the option of leaving a personal message for staff, or if they're feeling generous, they can also provide a tip. Simply from here, proceed to payment. Two options, you've got Apple Pay and Google Pay, or it does support traditional card methods such as debit or credit card as well. We confirm that order, and what you will see from here is as the order is placed, the customer is given a unique order ID. This order ID here allows the customer to track their order status via their digital wallet. So inside their wallet and order history, they will be able to keep a digital receipt of every order they have ever placed through Yoello. And as you can see, there is Transport for Wales there at the top. And you can see on the right the different order statuses. So that order is placed, there are previous ones in here, refunded, finished, etc., etc. A customer can access these at any point to, again, review that order as well as see payment details and so forth. That really is the customer journey for the web app itself, but with regards to the operational side of the service, it's easily managed via an intuitive, live, online merchant portal and POS device. It very simply allows staff to monitor and control orders, stock and reporting at all times. Thanks very much.
Thank you for your pitch, Nick. Really great to see that. Does Yoello platform have multilingual capability, and how do you see this being accessible for, say, a wider age demographic?
So firstly, yes, the platform does support multilingual. With our future expansion over the next coming months, we already support Spanish, German, Italian, which is already built into the platform, and we'll be looking to add other services as well. It's actually something we're talking specifically around Wales, and the Cardiff Council have requested, and that will be within the platform within the next couple of weeks. With regards to the age demographic side, I believe technology has come on advancements over the last couple of months. More and more people are getting to grips with the technology. We've actually got a testimonial video of a pub up in Coventry where they have a regular 90-year-old that is absolutely obsessed with Yoello now and using it on a day-to-day basis. So this adaptation through the pandemic really has brought on further capabilities within people and technology.
Really interesting stuff, Nick. I look forward to seeing how this develops over time. For our penultimate pitch this afternoon, please allow me to introduce Alex Cohen from Razor Secure.
Hi everyone, my name's Alex Cowan. I'm the CEO and founder of Razor Secure. At Razor Secure, we offer cybersecurity solutions that are designed for the rail industry, powered by machine learning. As a company, we've grown actually during the program from 17 people up to 23. We've raised now over £4.5 million and protected over 30 million passenger journeys. We work with companies right now like Siemens, Icamera, Nomad Digital, and we work with them to protect fleets like West Midlands Railway, Northern and Capital Corridor in the US. And actually during the program as well, we've also won 2 new deals with leading train builders. one of the challenges we've seen with digital trains is that they have extra problems when it comes to cybersecurity. And when we look at Transport for Wales, in the next few years, the majority of their fleet will be upgraded. Over 95% of their fleet will be digital trains, and they'll have the most modern fleet in the UK by 2023. But digital trains have thousands of connected systems on board when you look at a fleet level. And securing and managing these systems presents a big problem for the entire industry. These are just some of the risks we've seen with digital trains. Issues like no authentication mechanisms on train and control management systems, uncontrolled remote access into driver systems, CCTV cameras talking to third-party countries that is creating a potential risk of data leaking, and a plethora of other issues, including poor control of access when trust is assumed. We address these through what we call our flexible hybrid approach to security. So we work with operators to understand their risks, and we do that through what we call our data study and our asset management technology. We look to protect key systems with our Razor Secure Delta host-based software. We then look to cover the gaps in visibility with our Razor Secure Network software. And lastly, we support them through the life of the asset with our support and ongoing reporting. And what we've focused on with Transport for Wales is really helping them understand the risks. So we, as a company, have been working with them to develop what we call Razor Secure Explorer to give them more visibility into what goes on their trains. And this can cover a key gap through the entire chain of cybersecurity. It's not an answer on its own. There are still other solutions to be deployed, but it definitely helps to gain full understanding and visibility of those risks. So when you look to manage a digital train fleet, asset management is one of the biggest problems in the rail industry, and this was identified by the Transport for Wales stakeholders. It is this first step in effective cybersecurity because it informs your risks, and quite simply, you can't secure what you don't know about. The second part of this challenge is around managing configuration across a diverse digital fleet. And this is because when you have thousands of systems, configuration mistakes become very common. It could be that somebody is taking a system off a shelf to replace another system that's failed, and it's running a different version of software, or it's running a different configuration. And at that point, you've added a potential vulnerability that you don't necessarily understand. This can also lead to operational disruption. And so what we see is that a common view across these diverse digital fleets is required to manage configuration, to manage assets, and to manage risk effectively. The way that we've solved this is through what we call Razor Secure Explorer. It's designed to give you visibility of assets and key metrics through asset discovery, through physical and logical network mapping, through the ability to be able to explore metrics through the map. So you can also see assets in context and drill down directly into those. Data is exportable and always displayed in context as well. And it's deployable today with a single view across the fleet with a virtual machine on the Icomera systems that are already deployed with Transport for Wales. What this actually looks like in reality is you can identify that there's a train that potentially has a problem. It's highlighted in red. You get the spark line at the top that shows you there's a carriage that has a problem. You can then drill into that asset, scroll down, see all of the cameras, all of the other equipment that's connected. You can get a list view of this equipment as well, with the option to export lists of assets and be able to dig even deeper. And in this case, we see that there's a camera that's offline. We can then drill directly into that camera, see who made it, what the serial number is, what firmware version it's running, and where it sits in the network. And this is what Razor Secure has been working on developing with Transport for Wales. It's almost ready for deployment today, and we're keen to continue our work, and we would work to invest into the development and deployment of Razor Secure Explorer onto the Transport for Wales fleet to help them manage their risks today and their risks into their digital future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alex. Really fascinating insight in cybersecurity within rail. What are the vulnerabilities you see in the next 3 to 5 years as new technology is adopted within the rail sector?
Thanks very much for the question, Imran. So really a lot of the vulnerabilities that we see today are around systems that were never designed to be connected, suddenly being connected to mobile communications gateways and effectively connected to the internet on board digital trains. And that's a trend that will absolutely continue. One of the big problems is when you look at the railway, most engineers come from the perspective of safety, and safety is something that's considered at a single point in time. When the train is built, you build your safety case, and that's what you then use for the life of the train. The problem is cybersecurity is different. Cybersecurity has to be managed actively over the entire life of the fleet. So it's not just this single point in time activity. And so what we see is that the train builders, the Roscos, the operators are not really set up to be able to manage across the full life of the asset something like security. And so that's really where they need the most help, and where a lot of the vulnerabilities come from, and the vulnerabilities and lack of understanding of vulnerabilities comes from.
Thank you for that insight again, Alex, and thank you for taking the time to discuss the cybersecurity elements with us today. Now we move on to our final pitch of today's presentation. To round out our afternoon of pitching, I would like to introduce all to you to Martine from Emu Analytics.
Delays to train services across Welsh Rail are frequently caused by human incidents at stations, meaning everything from trespassing and vandalism right through to passenger assist requests. These challenges can be even more significant at any of the many unstaffed stations spread across the Welsh network, of which there is limited visibility of so far. Hello, I'm Martina from Emu Analytics. I'm here today to show how the use of real-time and non-traditional data can produce a much clearer understanding of where, why, and when these incidents are happening, and to tell you about the work that we have done on this Innovation Lab to give Transport for Wales the tool to better understand how this is affecting services and passengers, and to effectively enable mitigating strategies to be implemented. What we do here at Emu Analytics is produce innovative software solutions that analyse and visualise geospatial data. By this, I mean the data of movement and position of things, which might include vehicles, networks, and transport systems. Our software presents these insights in a highly visual and intuitive way. This makes it easy to understand for everyone within an organisation, so that all stakeholders, ranging from the CEO to the train driver, can benefit from these insights. Our software is also highly adaptable to working with lots of different types of data, making it applicable in a variety of use cases. This is exactly what we have done over the past 12 weeks on the Transport for Wales Innovation Lab. Now, let us rewind to the first few weeks of the Innovation Lab. We began by looking at where, why, and when these incidents were occurring. The maps that you can see on screen now show a variety of patterns and delays, trespassing incidents, and more. By mixing and analysing data from the rail sector with external data, we look for correlations between incidents and their surroundings. And on screen now, you can see one specific example looking into whether trespassing incidents occur at certain times of the day, or whether there are correlations to the surrounding geography, such as proximity to schools, for example. We can expand this to look for proximity to pubs, caravan parks, or demographic data and more, to help better understand where and when these happens, which can ultimately help Transport for Wales, Network Rail, or British Transport Police predict and proactively react to these occurrences. All the maps that you can see in this video are from one of our solutions and can be accessed by anyone from any of these organisations right now. However, this was just the start. Our next step was to understand the impact of these incidents on both train services and passengers, with a specific focus on the unstaffed stations. In this video, you can start to see how we brought in lots of real-time data from a variety of interesting sources. By using real-time train position data from Network Rail, we can not only show moving trains on a map and the status, as you can see here, but we can start to continuously produce calculations of prolonged stopping time, or dwell time as we call it, of train services at those stations. We can combine the schedule data and start to determine where the dwell time at a station is greater than the schedule states, thereby becoming a delay. We can then look for time and location patterns in this behaviour, enabling Transport for Wales to better determine where there are recurring issues over time, which might relate to the station or the service. We can also segment by head code, as you can see here. And we can continuously produce real-time daily metrics about delay performance by station, head code, and more, which you can see in this right-hand panel. Moving on, we can look at T2 incidents, meaning the code specifically relating to delays at unstaffed stations, and see where the number and impact in minutes was greatest. Additionally, not only can you see where the incident was, but you can also see the knock-on impacts of that incident. We still weren't finished though. We then brought in Wi-Fi based passenger counts in real time to gauge how many passengers are potentially being impacted by the service delays. We integrated with Wi-Fi Spark Station Wi-Fi service and can additionally show these also in real time within the portal, giving further insight into how passengers are affected. In the future, we would also like to bring in the onboard passenger Wi-Fi accounts from the iCamera service on the train. And if that wasn't enough, how about real-time flood alerts from the Natural Resources Wales and the Environment Agency, as you can see on screen now. Or maybe just a very cool view of live trains moving through the cities in 3D. Okay, maybe we only did that one because it looks cool. But seriously, the power of our software is to use lots of different data together to address a real problem. We could even bring in data that some of our peers in the lab are producing, such as this early example of Connect's video analytics of masks and no mask wearers on the platform. So that's what we have done so far in the Innovation Lab. Now, here's a bit about us. Despite achieving all this in just 12 weeks, we're only 8 people, having formed the company in 2015 and launching our software in 2018. The amazing thing is that our software enables a small team like ours to create all this in such a short period of time. We've now participated in 7 corporate accelerator programs, and many of these are now clients, along with a number of other quite prestigious organizations. Now, what are the potential next steps? We would like to further evolve the D2 user case. We're also waiting answer from Innovate UK on the SBRI competition around using geospatial data to address transport challenge. Thank you to Keolis Amy, Transport for Wales and Network Rail for the letters of support. Fingers crossed that we're successful in the competition. And obviously, what we would like to do is to continue to work with Transport for Wales and their industry peers, such as Network Rail, and further evolve the analysis and the solution to provide an invaluable tool that aids the operation of rail services in Wales, powered by data. Thank you so much.
A lot of great stuff there, Martin, so thank you for that presentation. How does the Emu platform incorporate multiple APIs, data streams, and does the platform have the capability to produce time/location-based reporting?
Thank you, Imran. That's a great question. I think our CEO, Richard, is going to be better placed to answer this question, so I think I'm going to hand it over to Richard.
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, to answer your question, Imran, so our software is designed very specifically to bring in lots of different data sources from different places through different APIs. And as Martin showed, we've done that with everything from Network Rail's live data through to Wi-Fi Sparks, Wi-Fi passenger counting data, and even taking some data from our peers on the Lab Connect and their image recognition data. So the system is designed very specifically to be able to do that very quickly and very reliably, and allow us to sort of normalize and bring together all those different data sets. And then because a lot of that data is real time, it's generally always time stamped. So almost always we will do temporal as well as spatial analysis. So we'll be looking for trends and patterns in the data occurring over time as well as geography. So yeah, very much we absolutely support that ability to look at space and time. So yeah, that's us. Thanks again, everybody, for the questions. And if you've got any further ones, please just drop them into the YouTube chat or come and see us in our Teams room, and I'll happily answer all the rest of them. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Martin, for your presentation, and Richard for a great, insightful answer to that. So this concludes the startup pitches, and I would like to thank all the startups and keynote speakers for being involved in today's demo day event for Cohort 2. The startups have been through a very challenging program where hopefully they will all have taken away key skills and techniques around building products or services, whether they are apps, web, digital platforms, or even hardware, and continue to apply them through their growth. And I wish every single one of them all the success they can have. I would now like to welcome Mike and Barry from Transport for Wales Rail Service and the key drivers behind Lab by Transport for Wales to announce the winners of Cohort 2.
Thanks, Imran, and I'm sure you would all agree those are some fantastic presentations from the companies. Doing a cohort during COVID was really tough, and switching it up to a virtual cohort was really hard as well. However, they've all done a fantastic job over the last 11 weeks to deliver the MVPs that they've shown off today. I'd like to thank them all for their fantastic work throughout, and I'll hand over to Barry to announce this cohort's winners.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, really tough job to find the winner from the fantastic presentations we've seen and the fantastic work that's been put in during the lab process. But we have made a decision. We've had to come up with one overall winner. So first of all, we're going to start with a couple of highly commended awards that we wish to give out to two companies that we think have been fantastic throughout the program and just missed out on that winner's spot. These two highly commended companies are Roost Connect. Well done to the team at Roost Connect.
Well done, guys.
And Emu Analytics.
Fantastic job, guys.
Really, really good work. And if we had more prizes and more first places to give out, we would have done so. But you two have been fantastic in the program and deserve that highly commended position. Well done. Now the winner's been fantastic. They've actually brought something to our industry that we've not seen before, and we feel it's going to be really beneficial for us now and moving forwards into the future. And the winners of the second cohort of the Transport for Wales Innovation Lab is Spatial Cortex. Well done to you guys at Spatial Cortex. Really good job. Fantastic innovation throughout, great engagement with the program, and we really look forward to working with you now in the short term and in the longer term. And there's just one final thing for me to do before I hand back to you, Imran. That's a big thanks out to you and to Adam Foster for overseeing and delivering such a fantastic program for us. And finally to Mike. Mike, great work in delivering this program for us at Transport for Wales. You do a great deal of work for it. It goes unnoticed. I see it all, and I want to thank you now today when we're together. So thanks very much. Cheers. Thanks, Imran. Thanks, Adam. Back to you.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you, Mike and Barry, and a huge congratulations to Spatial Cortex on being awarded £25,000 for the performance and the output through Cohort 2 by Labs by Transport for Wales. Congratulations also to Emu Analytics and Roost Connect on their performance throughout the programme. Hopefully today we have seen why it's so important, however, more imperative to keep working with startups and local communities to overcome business and economic challenges who can provide an agile and effective alternative. Cohort 3 recruitment will be live from Monday the 16th of November. So if you're a startup or a scale-up looking to replicate any of the successes you've seen today, we would love for you to apply and take part in our next program. For more information, please head over to TfWL website on tfwlab.wales and follow us on Twitter. The deadline for applications is February 2021, so make sure you have your entries in by then. On the website, we also have an idea submission page if you would like the labs team to look at any ideas that you want to throw at us. The recording of the demo day will be made public in the coming days, as well as a follow-up email to everyone who signed up to the Eventbrite with the contact details of the startups and the labs team if you want to get in touch. Thank you all again for tuning in to the live demo day, and I'll look forward to seeing you in Cohort 3.